fast forward a little bit into 2007, 24-hour win for Allegra Motorsports at Daytona. The awesome story that Scooter's told me offline many times. But I don't want to tell it through, with the stories you told me, since you two lived it. Whoever goes first, I think it's just interesting. I'll lead with how the race started. I heard that basically Scooter just went balls out and was gonna we're going hard right out the gate.
That was in 2007 and 2008.
so now you take it and run with it. That's how we're gonna lead with that.
Oh boy, that race, and I think anybody that's won that race could probably say the same thing. I mean, you could do a multi-part podcast just on that race. I mean, there's so much that happened with that, but the highlights reel from my end of that. I at that point had been racing with Carlos for off and on for 8 years. I started racing with him in '98 and a little at the end of '98, and now we're in 2007. So maybe we're closer to 10 years, but whatever. And that was the first time that he had purchased a new car. We'd always had, we had the 993 that was a couple years old when we ran it, and we did well with that car, but we were never really in contention to win. Later, he had an E46 BMW that was a couple year old car, and we had some highlights in that car. It showed some promise, but again, we were a long shot to get that car on the podium.
Yeah.
This car was a brand new car. And I had just opened my restaurant, and I was getting away from racing just to focus on that business. And he was gung-ho to do this Daytona thing, and he was calling me. He was in Miami at the time, and he said, we're doing this thing. I'm all in. Whatever it takes to do this thing as well as it can be done, I'm committed to do it. And he had bought the car, which was really exciting.
No, absolutely.
And
brand new race car.
Yeah,
that's always fun.
But then Porsche came out just slightly after he bought that car with a better car specific for that series that fit the rules exactly. And so now there was going to be an update to this car, which he committed to get. And then that's where the story can get long, so we'll just kind of skip over that part. But as we ran the car to the rules in Grand Am, the car was nothing short of terrifying to drive. It was just
nothing
impossible.
like you'd experienced before, huh?
No, and so it was myself, a very successful Canadian guy, Carlos, and a Porsche factory guy that was in their development work.
It was Mark Bassing.
Okay.
And then JF Dumoulin.
Okay.
With us, so.
All really good guys, and Mark especially was our connection to the factory. And we thought that we would
good group of fast guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we thought we were going to have, all the right stuff, and then some insight from Mark and the connection to Porsche, and we just could not figure out what this car was doing. And we did 2 different test weekends. We were making no progress. The guys with the Grand Am specific cars were significantly faster than we were. And so anyway, long story short, we figured out what was wrong with the car literally when it was time to go qualify it.
Wow.
And we...
Better late than never.
Yeah,
exactly. Well,
I'd
actually asked Carlos, I told him I thought it was a really good idea to withdraw the car. That I did not think that car was going to run 24 hours, especially knowing it was probably going to rain. Yeah. We were going to wreck that car. Something was
always rains at the 24.
It always rains.
It always rains.
And it's almost always cold, too.
Yeah.
You can bank on those 2 things. So, and he was just all in. We were just going to do it. And, but, we figured out what was wrong with the car. We corrected it. And that basically meant that we were starting the race in an untested car, with just, factory alignment specs, just put the shocks in the middle of all the adjustments and go. And I qualified the car about a second off of the pole. And at the start of the race, we started the race on brand new brakes, which is something I had objected to on the grid. We were on the grid. It was myself and the Brembo guy talking to the guy that was running the team, who was also a Canadian guy, and saying we should start from the back. You do not start a race on brand new brakes. And it was a brake manufacturer I had never worked with before. I was really familiar with Performance Friction. These were a Paget brake. And they assured me that it would be fine. And it wasn't. I think it was about the third lap we're going into turn
And it
one.
wasn't.
And there was just nobody
Nothing
home on
there?
the brake pedal for about the first 100 yards. And by the time
no.
that there was grip, I was just out of room to get the car slowed down, and that was the end of that. And I backed the car into the tire wall. And we
Carlos
came in.
is like, my brand new car.
Everybody was really pissed, and I don't blame them. And that's not the kind of thing where I'm going to say to the guy that was kind of our running the show, really, that I thought that he'd made a tactical error there. They thought that I had made an error in driving.
Mm-hmm.
You just let it's time to race.
Yeah.
So
He's
you
gotta
don't,
let
you
it
don't
go.
start arguing and fighting with people.
Exactly.
You
It was
just
at the
let it go.
start. It's a 24-hour
Yeah.
race.
Exactly.
So he recovered quickly. So
24
Exactly.
So I
It
think-
already happened. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So we were about a
Yeah.
lap down there. I think we lost another lap. I think Carlos had an off at the bus stop. But anyway, there's the pictures in the middle of the race. The car looks like it's been on a demolition derby. It's missing bodywork here and there and
That was
whatever.
Mark Bassett.
Okay, well, whatever. So
He's like, that wasn't me.
yeah. Well, I'll always remember my mistakes, and whoever else made mistakes. But the point is that what was really neat about that race, and it's like a bad movie. We were nowhere in that race. We were multiple laps down. I think at one point we were 4 or 5 laps down, and we just kept coming back, and all the other teams started running into problems, big problems, and cars were breaking. They were having pit stop issues and this and that, and we just kept going up and up and up. Mm-hmm. And that car we led like the last 40 minutes of the race, and that was it.
Yeah.
And crazy enough, 10 years later, his story is the same.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
I think we won that race in front of the Pontiac by 6 seconds.
Yeah,
or
it was a
something, so
very
it
close
was
race
very
at the
close.
end.
I remember you
And that
saying
was a
that.
factory Pontiac team. So.
Yeah. That's crazy. I remember you were saying that too. You're like, we even to the very, very end,
and
it was like
because-
we weren't sure.
And those
Yeah.
guys made a mistake.
Yeah.
They actually, in their last pit stop, they sped in pit lane, and they had a drive-through penalty. And were it not for that drive-through penalty, they'd have beat us.
Okay.
Our car was overheating, bad.
But that's what caused the other Porsches to fall out, because they were give so much buildup on their front air dam that they didn't clean it out.
Yeah.
And it just all overheated.
So it was just all the track debris and stuff. Yeah, it's getting all ate up on there and like gummed up, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was just such an unlikely scenario. But that's how those races, that's how they go typically.
Well, yeah, because it's such a long race, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
anything. When
Yeah.
I was talking to Tony, and like obviously I'm not a race car driver, but I watch a lot of racing, and one of the and any of those endurance races, and you guys experience it because you guys are drivers, and you know how it is. It's not how you start; it's how you finish those races.
Exactly.
And you can lead the whole time. If your car grenades in hour 23, who cares?
Right.
But there's I think from an entire team perspective, the pit crew, the drivers, all of it, if you're leading or if you're in the top 3 or 5 or whatever, the pressure on you typically forces a mistake throughout the race, because you're just under the gun. You feel like you're right there.
Something
And we
eventually
weren't.
cracks, right?
We were back there, so we're just trucking, right? Like we're just kind of running our own race, and not that everybody wasn't doing the best that they could do, but you didn't have that piercing pressure of like, man, if this pit stop doesn't go perfect, we're going to lose a place to this guy. We just kind of did our own thing.
Yeah,
But
that's
it
a good.
also rained, as I recall.
Oh,
and
God,
we
yeah, it
caught
rained
a
off
bunch of
and
laps in
on
the
and-
rain.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were just really good in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was actually a fortunate part of us running that car in pretty stock configuration, is that it was decent in the dry. Like I said, it qualified pretty good. But in the rain, we were, if I remember right, when I was out in that car in the rain, we were the quickest car in the rain.
were.
That car was really fast because it was soft.
Yeah.
It was really compliant, and it just was a rocket in the rain. And we did well.
Yeah.
We'd make up
That's
places
Make up a
we
in
lot
the
of
rain.
times.
Yeah.
Make
we
up
got
a
all the
lot.
laps back.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So,
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, and that especially as
And a
you
Porsche's
guys-
good in the rain anyway.
Yeah, and then it always rains in Daytona, so
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you got to bank
Yeah.
for that
Counting on it.
always.
Yeah.
So nice. I thank you for sharing that story. I just think
That's
it's
cool.
always like interesting to hear that like
perspective.
the car is brand new and then instantly like do damage to it. It's like, yeah, well, here we are. That's part
It's
of it.
broken
Like,
in
go
now.
figure it out.
Well, the very first lap that car ever turned, it was a brand spanking new car. I left the pit and went out and around, and the first trip through the bus stop, you just bounce it, across the curbs the same way you always go. The windshield broke, so that should have been a sign of things to
Red
come.
flag.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like great.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah, the car was 2 miles old and the windshield broke.
Nice. And then another great win at 24-hour Daytona, right? In 2017.
yeah. That was just unbelievable. The first time we won, to me, it was huge because, you know, it was Daytona,
Yeah.
Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona, and it was, you know, all the stories I've heard from Dave White and all these winners that have, you know, won it, and, you know, such a prestigious race to win, and to actually get a Rolex.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
To have the Daytona winning Rolex was huge. So, you know, we got through that, and, you know, we did a couple of stints or a couple of years with the Daytona prototype, ran that, and then did that up to 2012, and then 2013 we started to go ahead and run Porsche Cup, IMSA Cup.
Okay.
And we did it up in Canada, and we did it up there for a couple of years. And my son was starting to get of age, where, you know, at age 15 he ran IMSA Cup up in Canada.
Oh, wow.
And then age 16 he won the championship. So when they won the championship, the last race was at Road Atlanta in 2016, and I had already made the decision to buy the 2017 GT3R.
Okay.
And so I figured I was going to go ahead and put my son in the car. And for sure I had Daniel Morad, who was our pro driver, driving with us also in the IMSA Cup. He won the championship also. And it was at that point where we were at the dinner, the ceremony dinner for the awards banquet. And I decided, you know what, let me go ahead. It would be really cool to get my son Michael to drive with us, to get Daniel to drive with me, both IMSA Cup champions, and then the U.S. Cup champion. And I went ahead and did a presentation, asked everyone to come up on stage, and said, you know, great job on your championship win, and I'd like to go ahead and invite all three of you guys to drive with me at the 24 Hours of Daytona.
Nice.
And so they were blown away. So we did everything to get ready for it. You know, we got the car prepared, we got all the spares that we needed, and, you know, did all the testing, and it was just an amazing effort. I mean, I still think about it today. I'm like blown away.
Well, it's insane. I mean, it's a huge accomplishment.
Oh yeah. Well, and it was cool because, you know, we had Michael Christensen drive with us that year, factory Porsche driver, and, you know, all the testing was, you know, looking really good. So when we went to the race, we just went out there and did our job. I mean, each kid that jumped into the car went out there, they drove quick, brought the car back in one piece, and little bit by little bit we started to get to the front. And by the next morning we're leading. It was funny because the Ferrari was catching us, and literally, like, when it was a couple of car lengths away on the banking, the motor let go on the Ferrari.
Yeah, that's what Tony was saying.
That car was so fast, and I was like, "It's going to catch us for sure." I mean, we're not going to do well with this car.
Yeah.
So, but,
and then the reliability kicked in.
And then we see poof, big black smoke go out, and the car slowed down. We're like, "No way!" You know, we're like blown away.
See ya.
And that's all she wrote. I mean, our team did a phenomenal job. Tony and the guys did a phenomenal job on the last pit stop, where we beat the Audi out of the pits, and it was literally parked right behind us.
Yeah.
And so the Audi pitted first. We pitted right next to them at the same time, and the guys nailed the pit stop. We take off as the Audi's trying to take off. And we bit them out at the pits and led the race to the end.
And that was the difference, right?
Oh, yeah. And so, I mean,
in those races, isn't that crazy to think about too? Like, you race for 24 hours and it comes down to something like that.
Oh, yeah.
One of the pit stops between P1 and P2.
Yeah.
That's how close you guys are running. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Well, the kids did a great job. I remember one time it was like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and one of the drivers, Jesse Lazar, was, you know, he did a great job up to then, and it was his turn to get back in the car, and it was raining, and he did not want to get in. He was just so scared, and his main fear was, I don't want to hurt the car.
Yeah.
And I go, listen, we did this as a team, okay? You got to finish your stint because there's minimum drive time.
Exactly,
for each
right.
driver.
You have to get in the car.
You have to get in the car. And I go, listen, at the end of the day, just do your very best. If you crash, which I hope you don't crash,
Yeah.
but if you crash, it is what it is. It's part of the racing.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to hold this over you. Just go out there and do your thing.
By the way, he never ever gave me that pep talk.
That's funny.
That's the one bummer, being friends with him, right? Like you guys are too close. Where it's like, look,
We live
you
in the
crash
same
that,
town,
I'm gonna
so-
kick your ass. I'm gonna kick your ass. You crash.
You're going to come here and mop
And
this place
anybody
for the
who
rest of your life.
crashes, you better not crash. It's like, why do I get the gauntlet thrown on me?
Well, Scooter had a lot of experience by then. He was just a fresh driver and getting all the experience. But man, he got in the car and did a phenomenal job. And Mark got in the car and really pulled through in the rain. And Daniel Murad did an outstanding job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were really top level driver. They were up there with the best
Nice.
and running strong. So just a phenomenal effort. When we crossed that checkered flag, I was like, I can't believe this. It was the 10-year anniversary from
I know,
the
right?
2007
Is that
win.
crazy? It's like it was meant to be, right?
Oh, I mean, winning it with my son,
Yeah.
father and son team, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like a story. You can't even paint a picture better than that. Really.
No, it was just, I don't know. I mean, I still think about it, and it's
Yeah, it's a hell of an accomplishment. It's amazing. It's such a great story too. It's just one of those things. Thank you for sharing that. Just because I can't imagine what that must be like for you, just to be like, hey, guess what? We did this 10 years ago, but this time we did it with my son here, and this is really cool. So,
But it really comes down to, I mean, you got to make sure you got to do everything right. You got to buy the right manufacturer car.
Mm-hmm.
Which for me it's Porsche, because Porsche has the reliability. They're there at the racetrack supporting you 100%. Whatever you need, you'll get it there. Technical assistance, they're there for everything, and they really want to see Porsche customers do well.